Hello guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about potentially first overall pick in the 2019 NHL Draft, Jack Hughes. Now, of course, he is most famous for being the brother of Quinn Hughes, but I think that in time won't be the case. Jack Hughes is making a big name for himself in the U.S. National National program. He's been dominating over there. He's played a midget for a while, and he's just been dominating over the U.S. national team. Dominating so much that he is the favorite already to be the #1 pick in the 2019 draft. Of course, things fluctuate, but he has obviously shown the most talent and the most raw talent going into next year's NHL draft as we look to those rankings. Now, Jack Hughes, age 17, will probably be age 18 by the time the next draft comes up, so he'll be at normal age. He's a center, which is obviously super valuable as well. He's a left-hander. And of course, he's an American, born in Florida, of all places, in Orlando, so that's also interesting. But he's been developing in Ontario, in the junior leagues and the midget leagues and all that. But he's been slowly working his way up and is now with the U.S. national team. And again, as I said before, absolutely dominating over there. This season with the U.S. National U18 team, he had 36 games. He played 36 games, had 27 goals, 41 assists for 68 points. I think there was 5 people ahead of him in, I think, the whole tournament, and they were, of course, a lot older. He was playing with a lot of guys that were a lot older than him, and, of course, he was playing with those guys at age 16/17, so he was basically at my age, playing against guys that are grown up, against guys that are grown up against other countries as well. And if that wasn't impressive enough, in his World Junior Championship numbers in the U18 tournament, he had 7 games, 5 goals, 7 assists for 12 points. Again, the same age as the U.S. national team, and he's still putting up those numbers in the World Junior Championships. Just absolutely impressive, and definitely deserves to be that #1 ranking going into next season's draft. From what I've heard, he's an absolutely brilliant skater, one of the best we've seen for a while. I don't think he's quite Connor McDavid level, but he's amazing skater just all around with the cuts, the dekes, and everything. He's made an amazing skater overall. His speed is fantastic. He's blistering speed, and he's really good in that department. His playmaking is fantastic, and of course, his center, his faceoffs are pretty good as well. His vision is fantastic. His defense ain't bad, and needs some work. That's probably the thing that he needs to work the most in his game. But overall, offensively, he is supremely gifted. And for me, there's no better talent going into next year's 2019 draft and Vancouver. I just don't see anybody else that has quite the talent level. Now, of course, this could change if, let's say, Hughes has a down year and there's a guy that just blows up. But right now, Jack Hughes is favorably the favorite, and I thankfully so, because he has obviously put fantastic numbers up and definitely deserves to be that #1 ranked. He's really been impressive, but high in the shadow of his brother Quinn Hughes, of course, drafted 7th overall by the Vancouver Canucks. He could be drafted, in the top 3 and be even higher than him. Kind of the same situation as the Tkachuk brothers, where Matthew Tkachuk was drafted 7th overall, I'm pretty sure, and Brady Tkachuk gets drafted 4th overall, and of course you got that other brother in Luke Hughes, who could be a guy, again, that goes in the NHL draft in a few years. He's 14 years old, and also has some pretty good talent. And yes, it is pretty early for these rankings. It is, of course, the too early rankings for the 2019 NHL Draft, but he definitely deserves to be there to be the favorite, and what he's shown so far, I think he definitely deserves that. From the talent to just everything impressively, he has done a lot of things, and against older teammates, against older players, he's done really anything to impress, and definitely deserves to be that #1 ranked. Now, of course, just looking at this next draft, it's looking a little bit weaker than, of course, this year's draft. We'll have to wait and see if that actually is the case. But just the talent level, there aren't that many names that really stand out to me quite yet. Of course, I'll get to know these guys. But a lot of these guys, it just doesn't stand out as great as last year's draft. It still probably will be a good draft with, of course, right now, Jack Hughes leading the pack. But it probably won't be as good at talent level from the first year that we see it from this year's. And maybe he isn't as good as Rasmus Dahl in terms of talent level of a first overall. And of course, he has a great chance to be drafted first overall if he just continues his play. And of course, the big thing, I might jinx him here, but not to get injured. That's the big thing that, some guys that come into draft years really high up really suffer from. If they have an injury that even gets them out for only a few games, it lowers their stock as other guys are impressing. So the big thing for him, in my eyes, is to stay healthy, continue this great streak, improve just a little bit, but I think continue what he's done and just be able to stay healthy. I think that's the biggest thing and the biggest goal for him going into the next season, and I can see him definitely getting top 5 at least. But Jack Hughes has shown all the talent in the world. Everything hasn't been impressive from him. He definitely deserves to have that #1 rank right now, and he's definitely looking like the favorites as long as he doesn't stay injured, as long as he stays healthy and continues his place. I definitely see him being the first overall unless somebody else just jumps right ahead of him somehow. I feel like Jack Hughes is the favorite right now, and deservedly so. As long as something doesn't happen to him, I think he'll be A-okay. But Jack Hughes being potentially higher than his brother, Quinn Hughes, definitely looking better right now on the talent level, even though Quinn Hughes is, again, fantastic as a defenseman. It's going to be interesting to see which brother ends up becoming better, and of course you got that Luke Hughes, who could turn into something as well. It's going to be interesting to see how those trio end up doing in the NHL and how their careers last. It's going to be interesting to see how all of them develop and how all of them last. But that's going for you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. Tell me down below what you think of Jack Hughes. What do you think his potential is as a first overall pick? Do you see somebody else coming up above him? And what do you think about his NHL potential? I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.